Hello there, and welcome to your first gentle step into the wonderful world of beekeeping. We're here today to share something that can bring years of quiet joy, moments of pure wonder, and yes, the occasional sting that reminds you just how alive and present you need to be when working with these remarkable creatures. Now, before we dive into the heart of things, I'd love to know where in the world you're watching from today. Are you perhaps sitting in your garden, already imagining the soft hum of bees among your flowers? Or maybe you're curled up inside, dreaming of a future where you'll step outside each morning to check on your very own hive. There's something rather magical about that thought, isn't it? If you find this journey into beekeeping helpful, peaceful, or simply intriguing, I'd be ever so grateful if you gave this video a like. It helps this little corner of beekeeping wisdom reach others who might be wondering, just as you are now, whether they too could become caretakers of these extraordinary insects. There's something deeply human about our relationship with bees. For thousands of years, we've been drawn to them, captivated by their industriousness, their complex social structures, and of course, the liquid gold they produce. But beekeeping isn't just about the honey, though that's certainly a sweet reward. It's about becoming part of something larger, connecting with nature in a way that's both ancient and utterly relevant to our modern world. Perhaps you've been thinking about beekeeping for a while now. Maybe you've watched bees visiting your garden flowers and wondered what it would be like to provide them with a proper home. The answer, I'm delighted to tell you, is almost certainly yes. But I understand if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed by it all. The internet is full of information about beekeeping, some of it helpful, some of it contradictory, and quite a bit of it assuming you already know things that, frankly, no beginner could possibly know. That's why I wanted to create something different, something that starts at the very beginning and walks you through this journey with patience and care. Today, we're going to explore what it truly means to keep bees, not just as a hobby, but as a gentle partnership with nature. We'll talk about the commitment you're making, not just to yourself, but to these incredible creatures who will, if you let them, teach you things about cooperation, persistence, and the rhythms of the natural world that you never knew you needed to learn. Let's be honest from the start. Beekeeping isn't always easy. There will be moments when you'll stand before your hive, veil in hand, wondering if you're doing the right thing. There will be times when the bees seem agitated, when the weather doesn't cooperate, when you make mistakes. Here's something to remember. Those challenging moments are often when you learn the most, not just about bees, but about yourself. The beautiful thing about beekeeping is that it forces you to slow down. In our hurried world, where everything seems to demand immediate attention, bees operate on their own schedule. They can't be rushed, they can't be forced, and they certainly can't be ignored. They'll teach you patience in ways you never expected. When starting to keep bees, you're providing them more than just a home. You'll discover was that they are doing you a far greater favor. They will connect you to the seasons in a way you've never experienced. Spring meant watching for the first pollen loads on returning foragers. Summer brought the steady hum of a thriving hive and the anticipation of honey harvest. Autumn was a time of preparation, ensuring the colony had enough stores for winter. And winter, quiet winter, was a time of waiting, trusting, and planning for the year ahead. You see, when you become a beekeeper, you don't just gain a hobby, you become a steward, a guardian of some of nature's most important workers. Bees pollinate about 1/3 of everything we eat. They're essential to our food system, our ecosystems, and our planet's health. By keeping bees, you're not just pursuing a personal interest, you're contributing to something vital and necessary. But let's talk about what beekeeping actually involves, because I suspect you might have some preconceptions that aren't quite accurate. Many people imagine beekeeping as a dangerous dance with aggressive insects, requiring thick suits and clouds of smoke. While protection is certainly important, and we'll discuss that thoroughly, the reality is much more peaceful than you might expect. A well-managed hive is generally a calm place. Bees are too busy with their work to pay much attention to you, provided you approach them with respect and understanding. They're not looking for trouble. They're focused on their essential tasks, collecting nectar and pollen, caring for their young, building comb, and maintaining their complex society. The commitment you're considering isn't just about the time you'll spend with your bees, though that's certainly part of it. During the active season, you'll want to inspect your hive every week or two, checking on the queen, monitoring for diseases, ensuring they have enough space to grow. Each inspection might take 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what you find and what needs to be done. But the real commitment is deeper than that. It's about developing your eye, learning to read the subtle signs that tell you how your colony is doing. It's about understanding that every hive is different, every season brings new challenges, and every year you'll learn something new. It's about accepting that you're working with living creatures who have their own agenda, their own wisdom, and their own way of doing things. The financial commitment is worth considering too. Starting beekeeping requires some initial investment in equipment, bees, and ongoing supplies. But it's not as expensive as you might think, especially when you consider that a healthy hive can produce honey for decades. We'll explore the costs in detail, but I want you to know that beekeeping can be as simple or as elaborate as you choose to make it. One of the most common questions I hear from beginners is about safety. The honest answer is yes, probably. Most beekeepers get stung occasionally despite protective gear and careful techniques. But here's what might surprise you. Most beekeepers don't mind the occasional sting. It's part of the relationship, a reminder to stay alert and respectful. And for most people, bee stings are more of a minor inconvenience than a serious concern. Of course, if you're allergic to bee stings, beekeeping might not be the right choice for you. But if you're simply worried about the pain or the possibility of being stung, I'd encourage you not to let that fear stop you from exploring this wonderful pursuit. With proper protective gear and gentle techniques, stings are rare and usually minor. Another question I often hear is about space. The answer might surprise you. While bees do need access to flowers and water, they can fly up to 3 miles from their hive in search of nectar and pollen. Many successful beekeepers operate in suburban areas, even in cities. The key is ensuring your bees have access to diverse flowering plants throughout the season and that you're following local regulations about beekeeping. Speaking of regulations, this is something every aspiring beekeeper needs to research. Many areas have specific rules about where hives can be placed, how they should be registered, and what inspections might be required. These regulations exist to protect both bees and people, and they're generally not difficult to comply with, but they're essential to understand before you begin. I want to talk about the rewards of beekeeping too, because while we're being honest about the challenges, the benefits are truly extraordinary. There's the obvious reward of honey, of course. Fresh honey from your own hive has a complexity and depth of flavor that's quite different from store-bought honey. It reflects the flowers your bees have visited, the season they've worked, the unique terroir of your local area. But the rewards go far beyond honey. There's the deep satisfaction of working with your hands, of building and maintaining something that supports life. There's the connection to the natural world, the awareness of blooming seasons and weather patterns that becomes part of your daily consciousness. There's the quiet pride in knowing you're contributing to pollination, supporting biodiversity, and helping maintain these crucial insects. Many beekeepers speak of the meditative quality of working with bees. There's something about the focus required, the gentle movements, the awareness of the present moment that feels almost therapeutic. When you're working with bees, you're fully present. Your mind isn't wandering to tomorrow's meetings or yesterday's worries. You're here, now, in partnership with these remarkable creatures. The learning never stops in beekeeping. Every season brings new observations, new challenges, new understanding. You'll develop knowledge about plant biology, insect behavior, weather patterns, and seasonal cycles. You'll learn skills like woodworking as you maintain your equipment, observation as you monitor your hive's health, and patience as you work within the bee's natural rhythms. There's also a wonderful community aspect to beekeeping. Beekeepers are generally generous with their knowledge and eager to help newcomers. Local beekeeping associations offer mentorship programs, educational workshops, and social events. You'll find yourself part of a community that spans generations, where experienced beekeepers share decades of wisdom with enthusiastic beginners. Children are often fascinated by bees, and beekeeping can be a wonderful family activity. Obviously, safety precautions are essential, but many families find that keeping bees together creates lasting memories and teaches valuable lessons about responsibility, nature, and the interconnectedness of all living things. The environmental impact of beekeeping is profoundly positive. By keeping bees, you're supporting pollination in your local area, which benefits wild plants, gardens, and agricultural crops. You're also helping to maintain genetic diversity in bee populations and providing sanctuary for these essential insects. Climate change and habitat loss have put pressure on bee populations worldwide. As a beekeeper, you become part of the solution, providing safe homes for bees and contributing to their conservation. It's a small but meaningful way to make a positive impact on our planet's health. I want to address one common misconception about beekeeping, that it's something only rural people can do, or that it requires special talents or background. The truth is, beekeepers come from all walks of life. They're teachers and engineers, artists and accountants, retirees and students. What they share isn't a particular background or skill set, but rather curiosity, patience, and respect for these remarkable insects. You don't need to be an expert naturalist to succeed with bees. You don't need years of experience with other animals or extensive knowledge of biology. What you need is willingness to learn, patience to observe, and respect for the creatures you're working with. The technical knowledge can be learned, the equipment can be acquired, the skills can be developed. What matters most is your approach, your attitude, and your commitment to the partnership you're entering. As we continue this journey together, we'll explore every aspect of beekeeping in detail. We'll talk about choosing your first hive, understanding bee behavior, managing seasonal challenges, and harvesting honey. We'll discuss equipment in depth, from the essential items you'll need to start to the specialized tools that can make your beekeeping more efficient and enjoyable. But for now, I want you to sit with this fundamental question. Are you ready to slow down, to work within nature's rhythms, to become a student of these extraordinary creatures? Are you prepared to commit to learning, to accepting that some days will be challenging, to finding joy in small daily observations and seasonal celebrations? If the answer is yes, if you feel that gentle excitement building, if you're already imagining yourself suited up and calmly working with your bees, then you're ready to take the next step in this remarkable journey. Beekeeping isn't just about keeping bees, it's about becoming part of something ancient and essential, about connecting with the natural world in a way that's both practical and deeply meaningful. The path ahead is filled with discovery, challenge, satisfaction, and wonder. Your bees will teach you things you never expected to learn. They'll connect you to the seasons, the weather, the flowering plants in your area. They'll give you honey, yes, but they'll also give you a new way of seeing the world, a deeper appreciation for the complexity and beauty of nature. So take a deep breath, let yourself feel the excitement and perhaps the slight nervousness of beginning something new. Trust in your ability to learn, to grow, to become the beekeeper you're meant to be. Now that you've embraced the commitment to beekeeping, let's turn our attention to something equally important: understanding the remarkable creatures you'll be working with. The truth is, you can't truly succeed as a beekeeper without developing a deep appreciation for the complex, fascinating world of the honeybee. These aren't just insects that happen to make honey, they're sophisticated beings with intricate social structures, remarkable communication systems, and behaviors that have evolved over millions of years. When you first open a hive, you'll witness something extraordinary. Thousands of bees moving with purpose, each one playing a vital role in the survival of their colony. It's like watching a perfectly choreographed dance where every movement has meaning. Every interaction serves the greater good. But to truly appreciate what you're seeing, you need to understand the cast of characters in this remarkable drama. Let's start with the queen, the heart of the colony. She's not a ruler in the way we might imagine, commanding her subjects with royal decrees. Instead, she's more like the colony's mother, literally and figuratively. Every bee in the hive is her offspring, and her primary job is to lay eggs, up to 2,000 per day during peak season. That's more than her own body weight in eggs daily. She's larger than the other bees, with a longer abdomen designed for egg laying, and she moves through the hive with a distinctive measured gait. The queen's presence is felt throughout the colony through something called queen pheromones, chemical signals that communicate her health and fertility to every bee in the hive. These pheromones are like a constant reassurance that all is well, that the colony has a future. When a queen is failing or absent, you'll notice the change immediately. The bees become agitated, their behavior shifts, and they begin the remarkable process of creating a new queen. But the queen, for all her importance, is just one bee among thousands. The vast majority of the colony consists of worker bees, and these are the ones you'll interact with most as a beekeeper. All worker bees are female, and they're the true powerhouses of the hive. Their lives are structured around age-based roles, a progression of jobs that takes them from house cleaning to foraging in the great outdoors. Young workers, just emerged from their cells, start as house bees. They clean cells, tend to larvae, and maintain the hive's internal temperature. As they age, they take on more responsibilities, becoming builders who create the intricate wax comb, then guards who protect the hive entrance, and finally, in their final weeks of life, they become foragers, venturing out to collect nectar, pollen, water, and propolis. The foragers are perhaps the most fascinating of all. These older workers, their wings worn from countless flights, are the colony's connection to the outside world. They can fly up to 3 miles from the hive, visiting hundreds of flowers in a single foraging trip. When they return with news of a particularly rich source of nectar, they perform the famous waggle dance, a figure-8 pattern that communicates both the distance and direction of the food source to their sisters. This dance is one of the most remarkable forms of communication in the animal kingdom. The duration of the waggle run indicates distance. The angle of the dance relative to vertical indicates direction relative to the sun, and the vigor of the dance conveys the quality of the food source. It's a sophisticated language that allows the colony to efficiently exploit the best resources available in their environment. Then there are the male bees, the drones, who appear in the hive during the warmer months. Drones are larger than workers, with big eyes and a robust build. They have only one purpose: to mate with virgin queens from other colonies. They don't forage, they don't defend the hive, and they don't help with household chores. Instead, they spend their days flying to drone congregation areas, waiting for the chance to mate with a queen. It might seem like a leisurely existence, but it's actually quite precarious. When resources become scarce in late summer or fall, the workers will drive the drones from the hive, leaving them to die. It's a harsh reminder that in the world of bees, everything serves the survival of the colony. Understanding these roles helps you interpret what you see when you inspect your hive. The way the bees move, the sounds they make, the patterns of their activity, all of these tell you stories about the health and status of your colony. A hive humming with activity, workers coming and going with pollen-packed legs, is a sign of a thriving colony. Bees clustering around the queen, antennae touching her, are ensuring she's healthy and well fed. Guards at the entrance, checking every returning forager, are protecting the colony from robber bees and other threats. But bees communicate in ways that go far beyond the waggle dance. They use vibrations, traveling through the comb to convey information about food sources, danger, or the need for specific tasks. They use scent markers to identify members of their own colony and to mark valuable resources. They even use temperature as a communication tool, collectively adjusting their body heat to maintain the precise temperature needed for developing brood. The more you observe your bees, the more you'll begin to recognize these subtle communications. You'll notice how the pitch of the hive's hum changes when the bees are content versus when they're agitated. You'll see how they form chains when building comb, each bee precisely positioned to create the perfect hexagonal cells. You'll witness their remarkable ability to make collective decisions, whether it's choosing a new nesting site during a swarm or deciding when to replace an aging queen. This brings us to one of the most important concepts in beekeeping, the superorganism. While individual bees are remarkable, the colony as a whole functions like a single organism. Just as your body is made up of billions of cells, each with specialized functions, the bee colony is made up of thousands of individual bees, each contributing to the survival of the whole. The colony can regulate its own temperature, defend itself from threats, reproduce through swarming, and adapt to changing environmental conditions. This superorganism concept is crucial for beekeepers to understand because it changes how you approach hive management. You're not just caring for individual bees, you're tending to a living system. When you make decisions about feeding, medication, or hive manipulation, you need to consider how it affects the entire colony, not just the bees you can see. The colony's annual cycle reflects this superorganism nature. In spring, as flowers begin to bloom, the colony ramps up egg production and foraging activity. The population explodes as new bees emerge faster than the older ones die. This is when you'll see the most dramatic growth in your hive, with bees drawing out new comb and filling it with brood and stores. As summer progresses, the colony may reach its peak population of 60,000 bees or more. This is when they're most productive, bringing in the nectar that will become the honey you'll eventually harvest. But it's also when they're most likely to swarm, splitting the colony to create new colonies elsewhere. Understanding swarm behavior is crucial for beekeepers as it affects both honey production and colony management. Come fall, the colony begins to prepare for winter. The queen's egg-laying slows, the workers stop building new comb, and they begin to cluster more tightly together. They'll also begin to reduce the population, first by expelling the drones, then by allowing the natural death rate to exceed the birth rate. This might seem harsh, but it's an essential survival strategy that ensures the colony enters winter with the right number of bees to maintain the cluster temperature without depleting their honey stores. Winter is when the superorganism nature of the colony is most evident. The bees form a tight cluster with the queen at the center, surrounded by layers of workers. They generate heat by vibrating their flight muscles, and they rotate positions within the cluster to ensure no bee gets too cold. They survive entirely on the honey they've stored, carefully rationing their consumption to last until spring flowers return. As a beekeeper, understanding these natural cycles helps you work with your bees rather than against them. You'll learn to time your inspections for when the colony is most active, to provide supplemental feeding when natural resources are scarce, and to harvest honey without compromising the colony's winter survival. But perhaps the most important thing to understand about bees is their relationship with their environment. Bees are intimately connected to the landscape around them, and their health reflects the health of their ecosystem. A colony struggling to find adequate forage is telling you something about the availability of flowering plants in your area. Bees returning with unusual pollen colors might indicate new plants blooming or changes in the local flora. This environmental connection makes beekeeping both more challenging and more rewarding. You can't just focus on what's happening inside the hive, you need to understand the broader ecosystem your bees inhabit. What flowers are blooming when? Are there gaps in the nectar flow that might require supplemental feeding? Are there environmental stressors like pesticide use or habitat loss that might affect your colony's health? The good news is that bees are remarkably adaptable. They've survived ice ages, droughts, and countless other challenges over millions of years of evolution. They have built-in resilience that allows them to respond to changing conditions. Your job as a beekeeper is to support this natural resilience, not to try to control every aspect of their lives. This means learning to read the subtle signs your bees give you, the way they cluster on the frames, the pattern of their brood, the color and consistency of their wax. All of these provide clues about their health and needs. You'll develop an intuitive understanding of what's normal for your bees and what might indicate a problem. You'll also learn to appreciate the seasonal rhythms of beekeeping. Spring brings the excitement of new growth and the busy work of adding supers for the honey flow. Summer offers the satisfaction of watching your bees work the local flowers and the anticipation of the honey harvest. Fall brings the bittersweet task of preparing your bees for winter, knowing that you won't see them active again for months. And winter provides time for reflection, planning, and dreaming about the next season. Understanding your bees also means recognizing that they're not just agricultural animals, they're wild creatures that have allowed you to observe their lives up close. Every time you open a hive, you're being granted access to one of nature's most sophisticated societies. The privilege of this access comes with responsibility, the responsibility to treat your bees with respect, to make decisions based on their needs as well as your own, and to serve as a steward of these remarkable creatures. As you develop this understanding, you'll find that beekeeping becomes much more than a hobby or even a profession. It becomes a window into the natural world, a way of connecting with the seasons, and a daily reminder of the intricate relationships that sustain life on Earth. The bees will teach you patience, observation, and humility. They'll show you that the most complex systems often arise from simple rules followed by many individuals working together. And perhaps most importantly, they'll remind you that you're part of something larger than yourself. Just as each bee contributes to the success of the colony, your beekeeping efforts contribute to the broader goals of pollination, food production, and environmental stewardship. When you understand your bees, you begin to understand your place in the natural world, and that understanding transforms both you and your approach to beekeeping. Now that you understand the foundation of beekeeping and the remarkable world of bees, it's time to turn our attention to something equally important: creating the perfect environment for your future colony. Just as bees carefully select and prepare their natural nesting sites, you too must thoughtfully choose and arrange your hive location. This decision will influence not just the health and productivity of your bees, but your entire beekeeping journey. Think of hive placement as matchmaking between your bees and their new neighborhood. Get it right, and you'll witness a thriving partnership that benefits everyone involved. Get it wrong, and you might find yourself dealing with stressed bees, concerned neighbors, and a hobby that feels more like a chore than a joy. The good news is that with some careful consideration and planning, you can create an environment where both you and your bees will flourish. The art of hive placement begins with understanding what bees truly need, not just what we think they need. Wild bees are incredibly selective about their homes. They scout dozens of potential sites, evaluating each with criteria that have been refined over millions of years of evolution. They seek protection from harsh weather, accessibility to food sources, adequate ventilation, and security from predators. As their keeper, you become their real estate agent, tasked with finding a location that meets these ancient requirements while fitting into your modern world. Morning sunlight is perhaps the most crucial factor in hive placement. Bees are solar-powered creatures in the most literal sense. They need that early morning sun to warm their bodies and activate their flight muscles. A hive positioned to catch the first rays of dawn will see bees taking flight earlier, working longer, and maintaining better overall health. The ideal location receives full sun from sunrise until at least mid-morning, with some afternoon shade to prevent overheating during the hottest parts of summer. But sunlight alone isn't enough. Your hives need protection from prevailing winds, which can stress the colony and make it difficult for bees to maintain their carefully regulated internal temperature. Strong winds can literally blow foraging bees off course, exhaust them before they reach their destination, and make landing at the hive entrance a precarious endeavor. A natural windbreak, such as a fence, hedge, or building, positioned to block the strongest seasonal winds will create a more comfortable microclimate for your bees. Water access is another non-negotiable requirement. Bees need water for drinking, cooling their hive, and diluting honey to feed their young. If you don't provide a reliable water source within a reasonable distance, your bees will find their own, and it might be your neighbor's swimming pool, pet's water bowl, or outdoor faucet. Creating a dedicated water source is simple and will keep your bees happy while maintaining good neighbor relations. A shallow dish with landing spots like stones or cork, a dripping faucet, or even a small pond can serve this purpose beautifully. The ground beneath your hives deserves careful consideration too. Level, well-drained soil prevents hives from tilting and ensures that rainwater doesn't pool around the base. Soggy ground can lead to moisture problems inside the hive and create ideal conditions for pests and diseases. If your ideal location has drainage issues, consider building a simple platform or choosing a slightly elevated spot that naturally sheds water. Accessibility for you, the beekeeper, is equally important. You'll be visiting your hives regularly, carrying equipment, and occasionally moving heavy boxes filled with honey. A location that's convenient for you but still meets the bees' needs will make your beekeeping experience far more enjoyable. Consider the path from your storage area to the hives, whether you can easily maneuver a wheelbarrow or cart, and how the location will feel during different seasons and weather conditions. Privacy and security play important roles in hive placement as well. While bees aren't particularly aggressive when going about their normal business, having some visual barrier between your hives and high-traffic areas can prevent unnecessary encounters. A fence, hedge, or strategic positioning can create a buffer zone that makes both humans and bees more comfortable. This doesn't mean hiding your hives away in some remote corner, but rather creating a space where beekeeping activities can occur without constantly intersecting with daily life. The distance from your home matters more than you might initially think. Hives placed too close can create conflicts when bees establish flight paths that cross outdoor living spaces. Too far away, and you might find yourself less inclined to make those regular observation visits that are so crucial for successful beekeeping. Most experienced beekeepers find that a distance of 20 to 50 feet from main living areas strikes the right balance between convenience and comfort. Consider the seasonal changes your location will experience. That perfect sunny spot in spring might become a sun-baked oven in summer, while a location that seems protected in summer might be exposed to harsh winter winds. Walk your potential hive sites during different times of day and different seasons if possible. Pay attention to how shadows fall, where snow tends to accumulate, and how water moves across the landscape during heavy rains. The relationship between your hives and existing vegetation is another layer of complexity worth understanding. Nearby flowering plants can provide valuable forage, but certain plants can also create challenges. Trees that drop excessive leaves or fruit can create maintenance issues, while plants that bloom at times when you need to harvest honey can complicate your schedule. Dense vegetation directly in front of hive entrances can impede bee flight paths and create humid conditions that promote disease. Your neighbors, both human and animal, are part of the hive placement equation. Open communication with human neighbors before installing hives can prevent conflicts and create allies who might even become interested in your new hobby. Understanding local wildlife patterns helps too. Areas with heavy bear, skunk, or mouse populations might require additional protective measures or alternative locations. Local regulations and neighborhood covenants often dictate specific requirements for hive placement. Some areas require minimum distances from property lines, prohibit hives in front yards, or mandate certain types of screening. Research these requirements thoroughly before settling on a location. Many beekeepers discover that what seems like the perfect spot from a bee's perspective conflicts with local ordinances. The number of hives you plan to keep influences placement decisions as well. A single hive has different requirements than an apiary of several colonies. Multiple hives need adequate spacing to prevent drifting, where bees return to the wrong hive, and to allow for proper air circulation. They also create more bee traffic, which might influence your choice of location relative to human activities. Seasonal hive management tasks should inform your placement decisions too. You'll need space to work around the hives, set down equipment, and temporarily place hive components during inspections. Some beekeepers find it helpful to have a small table or workbench nearby for assembling frames or taking notes. Others prefer to keep the area completely clear but have easy access to a nearby workspace. The aesthetic aspect of hive placement deserves consideration as well. Your hives will become a permanent part of your landscape, and their appearance can either enhance or detract from your property's overall appeal. Some beekeepers embrace the functional beauty of traditional white hives, while others prefer natural wood finishes or even artistic decorative elements. The key is choosing a location where your hives look intentional and well integrated into their surroundings. Microclimates within your property can create significantly different conditions for your bees. A location that receives reflected heat from a south-facing wall might be perfect for extending the active season in cooler climates, but could create overheating problems in warmer regions. Similarly, a spot that seems protected might actually be a frost pocket where cold air settles, creating challenges during temperature-sensitive times of year. Future expansion possibilities should influence your initial placement decisions. Many beekeepers start with one or two hives and discover they want to add more as their interest and experience grow. Choosing a location that can accommodate additional hives saves the headache of relocating established colonies later. Even if you're certain you'll never want more than one hive, having the flexibility to split a thriving colony into two can be valuable. The relationship between your hive location and your honey storage and processing areas matters more than many beginners realize. You'll be transporting heavy honey supers from the hive to your extraction area, and minimizing the distance and complexity of this journey reduces both physical strain and the risk of accidents. Similarly, having easy access to your hive tool storage and protective equipment makes routine inspections more likely to happen on schedule. Remember that hive placement is not necessarily permanent. While moving established hives requires careful planning and technique, it's entirely possible if your initial location proves problematic. Many beekeepers refine their apiary layout as they gain experience and better understand their bees' needs and their own preferences. The key is making thoughtful initial decisions that minimize the need for future moves. The process of finalizing your hive placement should involve spending time in your chosen location at different times of day and in various weather conditions. Sit quietly and observe. Notice how the light changes, where the wind comes from, and how the space feels. This quiet observation often reveals details that pure analysis might miss and helps you develop the intuitive understanding of your local environment that will serve you well throughout your beekeeping journey. As you prepare to make your final decision, remember that the perfect location exists only in theory. Every site involves compromises and trade-offs. The goal is not perfection, but rather finding the best balance of factors for your specific situation. Trust your research, but also trust your instincts. You're about to embark on a partnership with some of nature's most remarkable creatures, and creating the right environment for that partnership is one of the most important gifts you can give both them and yourself. Your future bees are counting on you to choose wisely, and with careful consideration of all these factors, you'll be well prepared to provide them with a home where they can thrive, contributing to the ancient dance of pollination while bringing you closer to the natural world in ways you're only beginning to imagine. Now that you understand the importance of hive placement, let's turn our attention to the actual components that make up your beehive. Think of this as learning the anatomy of your bee colony's home, understanding each piece and how it contributes to the overall health and productivity of your buzzing community. The modern beehive is a marvel of thoughtful design, developed over centuries of beekeeping wisdom. At its heart lies the Langstroth hive, invented in 1852 by Reverend Lorenzo Langstroth, whose brilliant insight about bee space revolutionized beekeeping forever. Bee space, you see, is that critical measurement of roughly 3/8 of an inch, the precise gap that allows bees to move freely through their hive without feeling compelled to build comb or seal spaces with propolis. This discovery transformed beekeeping from a destructive practice of crushing combs to harvest honey into the gentle, sustainable art we know today. Let's begin with the foundation of your hive, quite literally. The bottom board serves as the floor of your bee colony's home, providing the entrance through which your bees will come and go thousands of times each day. You'll encounter two main types, the traditional solid bottom board and the screened bottom board. The solid version offers simplicity and weather protection, while the screened option provides enhanced ventilation and allows for natural mite drop monitoring. Many beekeepers favor the screened bottom board for its ability to improve air circulation and reduce moisture buildup, particularly important in humid climates where dampness can spell disaster for a colony. Above the bottom board sits the deep hive body, often called the brood chamber or hive body. This is where the magic of colony life unfolds, where the queen lays her eggs and where nurse bees tend to the developing brood. The deep hive body typically measures about 9 and 5/8 inches in height, providing ample space for the large combs needed for brood rearing. Most beekeepers use one or two deep hive bodies for the brood nest, depending on their local conditions and the strength of their colony. Within each hive body, you'll find frames, those rectangular structures that hold the foundation upon which bees build their comb. Frames are ingenious in their simplicity, providing a movable foundation that allows you to inspect your colony without destroying their carefully constructed home. Each frame consists of a top bar, two end bars, and a bottom bar, creating a sturdy rectangle that can be lifted out for examination. The spacing between frames follows Langstroth's bee space principle, ensuring bees can move freely while preventing them from building unwanted comb connections. The foundation itself comes in two primary forms: wax foundation and plastic foundation. Wax foundation, made from pure beeswax, is embossed with hexagonal cell patterns that guide bees in building their comb. Many beekeepers prefer wax foundation for its natural appeal and the way bees readily accept it. Plastic foundation, while perhaps less romantic, offers durability and consistency, particularly useful for beginners who might struggle with the more delicate wax versions. Some beekeepers even opt for foundationless beekeeping, allowing bees to build natural comb, though this approach requires more experience and careful management. As your colony grows and the brood chambers fill with developing bees, you'll add honey supers above the brood nest. These are similar to hive bodies, but typically shorter, measuring about 6 and 5/8 inches in height. The reduced height makes honey supers more manageable when full, as honey is remarkably heavy. A full deep frame can weigh 8 to 10 pounds, while a full medium frame weighs about 6 pounds. When you're hefting boxes full of honey during harvest time, you'll appreciate this thoughtful design consideration. Between the brood chamber and honey supers, you'll place a queen excluder, a flat barrier with openings large enough for worker bees to pass through but too small for the larger queen. This ingenious device ensures that the queen remains in the lower hive bodies, laying eggs in the designated brood area, while preventing her from laying eggs in the honey supers above. Worker bees can freely move up to store honey and nectar, but the queen stays where she belongs. Some beekeepers view queen excluders as honey excluders, arguing they can impede the flow of worker bees, but when properly used, they're invaluable tools for maintaining organization within the hive. The inner cover sits atop your stack of hive bodies and supers, providing a buffer between the active colony and the outer cover. The inner cover typically features a central hole that can be used for feeding, ventilation, or as an upper entrance in certain circumstances. Many inner covers include a small notch or rim that provides additional ventilation, helping to prevent moisture buildup that could lead to mold or other problems within the hive. Finally, the outer cover, often called the telescoping cover, protects your entire hive from the elements. This weatherproof lid should overhang the hive body slightly, providing protection from rain while allowing for proper ventilation. The outer cover is your colony's umbrella, shield, and roof all in one, standing guard against whatever weather your local climate might deliver. But a hive is more than just wooden boxes and frames. You'll need a hive tool, that indispensable prying instrument that becomes an extension of your hand during hive inspections. Bees seal everything with propolis, their tree resin glue, and your hive tool helps you gently separate frames, scrape away excess wax, and perform the countless small tasks that hive management requires. Choose a hive tool that feels comfortable in your hand, as you'll be using it frequently throughout your beekeeping journey. A smoker is equally essential, that small bellows device that burns organic materials to produce cool, white smoke. Smoke doesn't harm bees, but rather triggers their natural fire response, causing them to consume honey and become more docile. The smoke also masks alarm pheromones, helping to keep the colony calm during your inspections. Learning to light and maintain your smoker is a skill that develops with practice, and a properly smoking smoker can make the difference between a pleasant hive inspection and a challenging one. Consider also the spacing and arrangement of your hive components. The beauty of the Langstroth system lies in its modularity. You can add or remove boxes as your colony grows or contracts with the seasons. In spring, as the population explodes, you might add multiple supers to accommodate the honey flow. In fall, you might remove empty supers and consolidate the colony into fewer boxes for winter efficiency. Understanding your hive components also means recognizing how bees use each space. The lower deep bodies become the nursery, filled with brood in various stages of development, along with stores of pollen and honey for feeding the young. The upper areas become the pantry, where surplus honey is stored and ripened. Bees organize their home with remarkable efficiency, and your hive design should support their natural tendencies rather than fight against them. Quality matters when selecting hive components. Well-made equipment lasts for decades, protecting your investment and providing stable homes for your bees. Look for hive bodies with tight joints, smooth surfaces, and proper dimensions. Frames should be sturdy and well constructed, able to support the weight of honey-filled comb without sagging or breaking. Foundation should be fresh and properly stored, free from chemicals or contaminants that might harm your bees. Many beekeepers enjoy building their own hive components, finding satisfaction in crafting homes for their bees with their own hands. If you're handy with tools, building hives can be both economical and rewarding. However, precision is crucial, as even small deviations from standard dimensions can create problems with bee space and equipment compatibility. As you set up your first hive, remember that each component serves a specific purpose in supporting the complex society living within. The bottom board provides foundation and entrance. The hive bodies offer living space. Frames and foundation give structure for comb building. Superas provide storage expansion, and covers protect the entire community from weather. Together, these pieces create a functional home that allows bees to express their natural behaviors while giving you the access needed for proper management. Your hive is more than the sum of its parts. It's a carefully designed system that balances the bee's needs with your management requirements. Understanding each component and how they work together will serve you well as you progress in your beekeeping journey, helping you make informed decisions about equipment, management practices, and the ongoing care of your buzzing charges. Now that you've established your hive's foundation and prepared your equipment, it's time to embark on the most rewarding part of your beekeeping journey, actually working with your bees. This is where the theoretical knowledge transforms into lived experience, where you'll develop the intuitive understanding that separates confident beekeepers from those who merely own hives. Think of it as the difference between reading about swimming and actually diving into the water. The real learning happens when you're suited up, smoker in hand, gently lifting frames and observing the intricate dance of life unfolding within your hive. Your first hive inspection will likely feel like stepping into an entirely new world. The gentle hum of thousands of bees, the sweet aroma of honey and beeswax, the purposeful movement of workers attending to their duties, all of this creates an atmosphere unlike anything you've experienced before. It's normal to feel a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Your hands might shake slightly as you light your smoker, and you might find yourself moving more slowly than usual, hyper aware of every sound and movement around you. This heightened awareness is actually beneficial. It means you're paying attention, being respectful of the lives you're about to encounter. The key to successful hive inspections lies in preparation and mindfulness. Before you even approach the hive, take a moment to center yourself. Breathe deeply, check your equipment, and remind yourself that you're entering their home as a guest. Bees can sense anxiety and hurried movements, so cultivating a calm, deliberate presence will make the experience more pleasant for both you and your colonies. Think of it as a form of moving meditation where each action is performed with intention and respect. Begin by lighting your smoker well before you need it. A properly lit smoker should produce cool, white smoke that billows steadily when you pump the bellows. The fuel you choose matters. Pine needles, dried grass, burlap, or commercial smoker fuel all work well. The smoke itself doesn't harm the bees. Instead, it triggers an instinctive response that causes them to gorge on honey, making them less likely to sting. It's nature's way of preparing them for a potential emergency, like a forest fire, where they might need to abandon their home and establish a new colony elsewhere. As you approach the hive, move slowly and deliberately. Avoid wearing dark colors or strong fragrances, as these can agitate bees. Your bee suit should be clean and properly fitted, with all zippers closed and gloves secured. Some beekeepers prefer to work without gloves once they gain experience, as it allows for more dexterity and a gentler touch. But as a beginner, protection is your priority. There's no shame in being cautious. Confidence will come with time and practice. Start your inspection by giving the hive a few gentle puffs of smoke at the entrance. This alerts the bees to your presence and begins the calming process. Wait a moment, then remove the outer cover and inner cover, giving the top of the frames a light smoking as well. The goal isn't to overwhelm them with smoke, but rather to communicate your presence and encourage their natural response to fill up on honey stores. When you begin lifting frames, do so slowly and smoothly. Bees don't react well to sudden movements or vibrations, so think of yourself as moving through thick honey, every action deliberate and unhurried. Hold frames over the hive body so that if the queen happens to be on the frame you're examining, she won't accidentally fall to the ground if she becomes dislodged. This is particularly important during your first few inspections, when you're still learning to spot her among the thousands of workers. What you're looking for during these inspections will evolve as you gain experience, but initially, focus on the basics. Are you seeing eggs, larvae, and capped brood? This indicates that your queen is present and laying. Are the bees drawing out comb on the foundation? This shows they're settling in and building their home. Are you noticing any signs of disease or pests? Early detection is crucial for maintaining healthy colonies. Don't worry if you can't identify everything immediately. Pattern recognition develops over time. The eggs themselves are tiny, almost translucent, and can be difficult to spot at first. They look like small grains of rice standing upright in the bottom of cells. If you're seeing fresh eggs, you know your queen was active within the last 3 days. Larvae appear as small, white, C-shaped grubs curled in their cells, while capped brood looks like a brown, slightly textured surface covering the developing bees. This progression from egg to larvae to capped brood tells the story of your colony's growth and health. Temperature and timing matter significantly for inspections. The best time is during warm, sunny days when most of the field bees are out foraging. This leaves the more docile house bees at home, making for calmer inspections. Avoid inspecting during cold, rainy, or windy weather, as bees become more defensive when they're confined to the hive. Early afternoon is often ideal when the sun is warm but not blazing, and foraging activity is at its peak. Keep your inspections focused and efficient. While it's tempting to linger and observe every fascinating detail, remember that you're disrupting their work and exposing their home to the elements. A thorough inspection of a single deep hive body should take no more than 15 to 20 minutes. As you gain experience, you'll become more efficient, able to assess the colony's condition quickly while still being thorough. Record keeping becomes invaluable as you develop your beekeeping practice. After each inspection, jot down what you observed. Did you see the queen? How much brood was present? Were the bees drawing out new comb? Any signs of swarming preparation? These notes will help you track your colony's progress and identify patterns over time. You might notice that your bees are more active on certain days, or that they tend to start building queen cells at specific times of the year. Don't be discouraged if your first few inspections feel overwhelming. There's an enormous amount of activity happening within a hive, and it takes time to learn what's normal versus what requires attention. Some beekeepers describe their early inspections as trying to read a book written in a foreign language. You can see that something meaningful is happening, but you're not quite sure what it all means yet. This is completely normal and part of the learning process. One of the most common concerns for new beekeepers is the fear of being stung. While stings are an occasional reality of beekeeping, they're far less common than you might expect when you work calmly and respectfully with your bees. Most stings occur when bees feel threatened or when their hive is being disturbed aggressively. If you do get stung, don't panic. Remove the stinger quickly by scraping it off with your hive tool rather than pinching it, as pinching can inject more venom. The alarm pheromones released during a sting can agitate other bees, so it's often wise to take a brief break and let things settle before continuing. As you become more comfortable with inspections, you'll start to notice the subtle signs that indicate your colony's mood and health. Happy, healthy bees tend to work steadily and calmly with a gentle, productive hum. Agitated bees might fly more erratically, produce a higher pitched buzzing, or show increased interest in your presence. Learning to read these signals will help you adjust your approach and timing accordingly. The seasonal rhythm of inspections will become second nature as you gain experience. In spring, you'll be looking for signs of population growth and ensuring your bees have enough space to expand. Summer inspections focus on honey production and swarm prevention. Fall brings preparations for winter, checking food stores, and assessing the colony's strength. Winter inspections are minimal, usually just quick checks on warm days to ensure the cluster is alive and the entrance is clear. Remember that every hive is unique with its own personality and characteristics. Some colonies are naturally more docile, while others might be more defensive. Some build comb quickly, while others take their time. Part of the joy of beekeeping lies in getting to know your individual colonies and working with their natural tendencies rather than against them. The relationship you develop with your bees through regular, respectful inspections forms the foundation of successful beekeeping. You'll learn to anticipate their needs, recognize signs of distress or contentment, and make informed decisions about when to intervene and when to let nature take its course. This intuitive understanding, built through countless hours of observation and gentle interaction, is what transforms a person with beekeeping equipment into a true steward of these remarkable creatures. Each inspection offers new lessons and discoveries. You might witness a virgin queen taking her first flight, observe the intricate process of comb construction, or marvel at the efficient organization of brood patterns. These moments of wonder and discovery are what make beekeeping endlessly fascinating, even for those who've been practicing for decades. The hive is a living classroom where nature's wisdom is on full display, and every inspection is an opportunity to deepen your understanding of these extraordinary insects and their complex society. As we reach the end of our gentle exploration together, I hope you're feeling more connected to these remarkable creatures and perhaps a bit more confident about embarking on your own beekeeping adventure. What we've discovered throughout this journey is that beekeeping isn't just a hobby or a way to harvest honey, though those rewards are certainly sweet. It's an invitation into a deeper relationship with the natural world, one that teaches patience, observation, and the profound satisfaction that comes from nurturing life. The path ahead of you as a beginning beekeeper will undoubtedly have its challenges. There will be days when the weather doesn't cooperate, when inspections reveal concerning signs, or when you feel uncertain about what you're observing in the hive. These moments are not failures, but learning opportunities, chances to deepen your understanding and strengthen your bond with your bees. Remember that every experienced beekeeper was once exactly where you are now, filled with enthusiasm and perhaps a touch of nervousness about opening that first hive. The beauty of beekeeping lies in its gentle rhythm. Unlike many pursuits that demand immediate mastery, beekeeping rewards those who approach it with humility and respect. Your bees will teach you their language if you're willing to listen. They'll show you the signs of a healthy colony, the subtle changes that indicate seasonal shifts, and the remarkable resilience of nature when given proper care and attention. As you begin this journey, remember that you're not just tending to a colony of insects. You're becoming part of an ancient tradition that connects you to generations of beekeepers who have found wonder in the hexagonal architecture of comb, the purposeful dance of worker bees, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing you're contributing to the health of pollinator populations. Your efforts, however small they may seem, ripple outward to benefit your local ecosystem and the broader environment. The equipment we've discussed, the techniques we've explored, and the knowledge we've shared are merely tools to help you begin. The real education will come from time spent with your bees, from quiet moments observing their behavior, and from the gradual development of that intuitive understanding that marks the difference between someone who keeps bees and someone who truly partners with them. Consider joining local beekeeping associations or finding a mentor in your area. The beekeeping community is remarkably welcoming and generous with their knowledge. Don't hesitate to ask questions, share your experiences, or seek advice when challenges arise. These connections will enrich your beekeeping journey and provide valuable support as you develop your skills. As seasons change and your experience grows, you'll find that beekeeping offers rewards far beyond the honey harvest. There's the meditative quality of hive inspections, the satisfaction of watching your colonies thrive, and the deep connection to natural cycles that our modern world often obscures. You'll develop a heightened awareness of flowering plants, weather patterns, and the delicate balance that sustains our ecosystems. Your role as a steward of these remarkable creatures is both a privilege and a responsibility. By providing thoughtful care, maintaining healthy practices, and approaching your bees with respect and wonder, you're contributing to the preservation of these essential pollinators. In a world where bee populations face numerous challenges, your efforts matter more than you might realize. The journey of beekeeping is one of continuous learning and discovery. Each season brings new observations, each colony presents unique characteristics, and each year deepens your appreciation for the complex world of honeybees. Embrace the process, celebrate small victories, and remember that the most experienced beekeepers are still learning from their bees. As you prepare to take your first steps into beekeeping, carry with you the knowledge that you're beginning something truly special. You're about to become part of a quiet revolution of people who understand that by caring for bees, we're caring for ourselves and our planet. The gentle hum of a healthy hive, the sight of bees returning heavy with pollen, and the sweet reward of honey produced through your stewardship await you. May your beekeeping journey be filled with wonder, learning, and the deep satisfaction that comes from nurturing these extraordinary creatures. Welcome to the world of beekeeping, where every day offers new opportunities to witness the remarkable dance of life, and where your gentle care helps ensure that this ancient partnership between humans and bees continues to flourish for generations to come.